Since we addressed your morning routine, it seemed like we needed to address your evening routine to set you up for health, rest, and growth. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your humanness. My work is to bridge both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello and welcome, my strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker. I am so excited to be back with you. Today is the follow-up to last week's podcast, where this time I'm giving you 7 simple steps on how to create an evening routine that will support you with your rest, your health, and your growth. So this episode feels a bit more personal. I'm definitely going to be getting into more of my personal spiritual beliefs, and as well as working with our psychology to set us up so that we are better able to feel refreshed in the morning and allow our psychology to be coming from a place of true well-being. Now, one of my beliefs is that while our body rests, while our brain is processing the day, our spirit, our essence is doing some other work. It's processing things on another spiritual level to support us and our growth. And so if we can tap into some of these aspects while we sleep or when we arise, it can support us in not only our spiritual understanding of ourselves, but also our psychological development and our growth. So I want to share with you these 7 aspects to an evening routine that you can implement. You certainly do not need to implement all of them. This is just something that I find that has brought me greater peace. And so let's get started as I share with you some that are more detailed and some that are very simple and that I highly recommend. Starting with number 1. And number 1 is, if you are sensitive, you really want to be watching your input, what you are inputting in your brain, in your mind, especially the closer you get to bed. So for me, at the end of the day, where I'm just dog tired, I want to turn on the TV and watch a show. But I cannot handle any shows that are about violence. And I really don't want to watch shows that show or demonstrate disturbing aspects about people that I really don't want to tap into. So if there's a TV program that's popular, but people are engaging in unhealthy behaviors, like, I just don't want to have that in my psyche. So that means a big no to reality TV, because a lot of times people aren't treating each other well. And I just don't want to have that in my frame as a way that people are behaving. And so the benefit to that is that we can put in our realm, our space, how we expect others to behave, right? And so if we're watching something that demonstrates behavior that we don't want, we're inviting in that there's space for that to be a possibility. And I have found that by not inviting that in, not allowing that into my psyche, especially late at night, that it's, I don't see that behavior around me and in the world. I tend to see people as very generous, very loving, very just kind and open-hearted. And so there is a purposefulness to protecting. If you're not watching me, I keep making this bubble. I want this bubble around me and my sphere of energy as to what I allow in and what I see as quote unquote normal behavior. So if there's behavior that might be mainstream, it's not going to be my reality because I'm not letting it in. Not to say that there can't be disturbing circumstances, but by far this has really worked to support that energy really isn't aligning with where my energy is. And so there's purposeful ways we can do that. So that's step number one. Easy. Choose something. Well, it sounds easy, but really it can be hard to find wholesome, entertaining TV shows, but they're out there. So that's what I suggest is that you're really watchful of what is that end of night input that you're taking into your psyche. And then along with that, number two is to right before bed is to read something spiritual or inspirational. So there are ancient texts or books around ancient texts, or maybe you like to read the Bible, or maybe you like to read something that's spiritual around the goddesses or Mary Magdalene, whatever it is, that there's something that you're tapping into that spiritual guidance that supports your inner gnosis. So again, inner gnosis is our heart's knowing, and we want to tie ourselves or connect ourselves with texts that reminds us of our heart's inner knowing and the love that is available to us. So whatever is inspirational to you, that is something that can be very supportive before we go to bed. And again, even if you're reading it for 5, 10 minutes, you can barely keep your eyes open. It can be a great way to set the tone of wanting to experience greater self-gnosis and inner understanding as you dream or as you awaken. And I'll get more into that. Then one of the things that I personally like to do is do a devotion with the rosary, but it's not the traditional prayers of the rosary. For me, when I've gone on this spiritual journey, there was a time where I had to push away everything that reminded me of aspects of religion that I didn't like. But I found that there was a throwing out the baby with the bathwater type scenario, and that prayer beads have been a way of devotion for really showing up in a way that creates a ritual and an expression of love for the aspects that you want in your life and that aspects of spiritual guidance that you want to bring forward. So my version of the rosary is altered. It's adjusted to my beliefs. It's not our Father. I am praying to the divine masculine so that those masculine aspects that I want working within me are coming forward and that it is something that I invite into my experience. And it's the same. It's not the typical Hail Mary. There are prayers to both Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. And again, these are altered to my beliefs so that it feels in alignment for myself and what I want to come forward with the divine feminine energies and the divine feminine expression of the divine. And so I can link to you a resource with that. I have turned to parts of Margaret Starbird's Magdalene Rosary and how she shares it. Not all of it, but there's some aspects that I've integrated. So again, this is a way of devoting that no matter how tired I am, no matter how late it gets, that this is something that I want to offer as an expression of gratitude for this relationship with the divine feminine, with the divine masculine, and ultimately just with the divine, because to me, the divine is the union of both. But in our human experiences, we have these dualities that help us bring us into greater union. So I want to make sure these dualities are working within me in a way that is healthy, loving, and empowered. So next is a prayer with my spouse. And I love this. It's very quick. And it just, what I love about it is it feels like the union in the human form of the feminine and the masculine, and bringing our hearts together in a way towards that which we value and appreciate and have gratitude for. And so, again, it's very quick, but there is a beauty to that when two come together in prayer, that there is this energetic emphasis that happens that feels important to myself and my husband. And my husband's not like this super, he's not as spiritual as me. He's a spiritual person, but he doesn't do all these things that I do, and it's totally fine. This is his act of devotion, and it feels good for us to connect in this way and to share this for, again, it can just be a couple minutes. The fifth aspect that we can integrate into the evening routine is to set an intention for insights to come forward for you while you are asleep, and so that you remember them and that they come forward either in the middle of the night and you're willing to get up in the middle of the night and write them down, or first thing in the morning and you get up and you write them down. And this is especially helpful if you have felt stuck and you want some insight on how to move forward, or you want dreams to help you better understand a situation. And dreams are super powerful because they are so symbolic. And so when we work with dream energy, it's guiding us with what a dream symbolizes to you and how something is making you feel in a dream. So this is where you really don't want to get too caught up into dream dictionaries, because, for instance, snakes are an animal that people are afraid of, but to me are very sacred. And so for me, dreaming about snakes can have a very different meaning because of what they symbolize to me. Now, there's also just the understanding of how something is making you feel. And that is a very important piece to this, because our dreams can take us into feelings that we're not willing to feel when we're awake. And being able to experience them when we dream and being able to process them, especially right as we begin to awaken, that can really support us in how we move forward. And a part of this with our dream state, we can be in that half awake, half dreamy state. And this is where you can start to impact your dreams to show up for yourself in a way that your higher self wants you to. So you're in this kind of in-between state. And this is where we can alter our dreams to ensure that our higher self has a pathway to move forward in our dreams that gets programmed in our subconscious mind, that helps us to see how our higher self may show up for us despite our human tendencies, our human fears, our human habits. And so this is a way to work with dreams in this kind of semi-conscious state. The other thing, number six, that you can do is you can sleep with or near crystals. And I have usually about four crystals that I sleep with. This one is one that I'm very connected with and have gone on spiritual journeys with. And so when I find myself waking up in the middle of the night, I place this crystal on me, on any part of my body that I feel called to. Um, to just support me to come back into a sleep state. And it typically works where it just, whatever, however my mind wants to click on, the crystal can help me absorb that kind of unnecessary running monkey mind energy and support the settling back in, that the mind, it's not time for the mind to turn on. It's not time for the mind to try to figure things out. It's the essence, our spirit, that is, it's time for this part of us to process and to understand ourselves, and for allowing that state to come forward. And then lastly, a habit, an aspect that you can integrate into your evening is anything that brings you protection. I have my statue of Sekhmet, and this is a warrioress goddess. She is a protector, and I love the energy of this feminine protection, along with, I will call in Archangel Michael, especially when I have spiritual visitors that I have not welcomed or intended to come in. So if any of you have spiritual visitors at night, you know how that feels. And it's just a bit startling. And so I have found that with Archangel Michael, it's an immediate clearing of that energy where I'm able to go back to sleep and feel safe. And so it's it's just understanding that when we are attuned to the spirit realm, there can be aspects that want to connect with us. And my personal belief is not around, I don't want to put in my psyche a lot around evil or harm, but to me, it's just, it's uncomfortable, and if it's uncomfortable, then I can't sleep. And so my sense is that these energies are more curious than wanting to do harm. But and there's an opportunity, because at night the veils are there's there the veils are more easily penetrated, and so that curiosity can allow that spiritual energy to come forward. But it's not something that I have interest in connecting with at this time. Now, there have been spiritual energies that have come forward out of nowhere that have announced themselves, and that I felt it to be true, that were then welcomed, because I know they were working with me to continue my growth and healing. And so there's ways that we can have boundaries around working with spiritual aspects and calling in protection when something isn't wanted, it isn't feeling comfortable to you, is certainly absolutely something that you have every right to do and can call forward. So again, Archangel Michael, you can have a little statue like I do, but it's really about this understanding that there are spiritual aspects and energies that are wanting to support you, to feel protected and to feel safe as you grow, and so you can sleep and rest. And so these are 7 simple habits, ways that you can integrate into your evening. Some of them are, again, I know for me it's very personal, and I like and feel it feels like a great way to close out my day. If you don't do any of these, and I wouldn't suggest that all of a sudden you do all 7 of these, you just pick one that resonates for you. Again, the easiest one I would start with is your input. What are you inputting into your psyche at night? That can have the biggest impact. And if you are really drawn into some of the drama that is happening on TV that you know on some level is not healthy, that is where you can begin to look at, like, what am I getting out of connecting to that drama? And where can I make myself feel more alive in my own life, rather than turning to some external unhealthy form of drama that seems like it's more alive, but it's doing so in an unhealthy way. Start there and then listen in if there's any other callings. There can be that simple intention of, I would love resolution for something. You can keep it very simple. I always tell myself the KISS method. The KISS method is my version of the KISS method is keep it simple, silly. So just keep it simple, silly. We don't have to make this a big deal, and utilize tools that feel supportive to you. So keep it simple and supportive. That's the other element to the KISS method. All right, that's what I have for you. I hope this supports your evening routine to feel supportive to you, that feels that you are held in the love that you are. So until next time, know that there is nothing to fix, just to remember.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.